So this whole latter half of Vikings Season 4 has been really entertaining to me. I really love seeing sort of Ragnar's downfall and sort of his son's rise to power. And this all culminates in the finale, The Reckoning, which I'm sorry I haven't given this review out earlier. I've been sick, but I'm finally getting around to giving this review. But The Reckoning was definitely one of my favorite episodes of Vikings this season and throughout the whole entire show, because it sets the stage for the future of the show while acknowledging the past and sort of paying homage to the past. And I love how this episode opens with a massive battle we've been waiting all season to see. Aethelwulf leading his forces of Wessex against all the brothers, all the Lothbrooks, and the battle does not disappoint. It's very entertaining, very action-packed in the beginning. I love seeing it. Aethelwulf escapes, which I'm happy, because I didn't know going into this episode if Aethelwulf was just going to die in the battle or if they're going to follow sort of the historical story of Aethelwulf fighting the Vikings for years on end. And I'm glad that they kept Aethelwulf alive. And I actually think he's one of the coolest parts of this latter half of the Vikings season 4 season. It's just been awesome to see Aethelwulf come from this, sort of become this interesting multi-layered character. It's not that he was wooden before, but he's really become an interesting and compelling character the latter half of the season. Sometimes I actually find myself rooting for Aethelwulf because he's had so much failure and he's been, beat down, and he's had nothing good happen in his life. So Aethelwulf even got some cool action scenes, even though he lost the battle, and it was cool seeing him fight. But he is able to escape with some of his men, and he goes back to the capital, of course, of Wessex, and King Ecbert basically says, "Son, I'm going to make you king, and I'm going to stay here and face what's coming to me." So he makes Aethelwulf the king, and everybody flees the capital except Ecbert and, of course, the Catholic priest, his Catholic priest friends. So the Vikings, easily make it to the capital. They storm into the capital, they raid it, they raise hell, basically set the whole town on fire, and Ecbert is captured. And he makes this agreement with Bjorn, and he says, "I'll give you this land legally if you let me choose the way I die." But what the Vikings don't know, of course, that the viewer knows, is that Ecbert's no longer king, so this deal's not even valid. But it's kind of cool to see how Ecbert does a double cross in the end, even though he's in the situation where he's weak and feeble, and he's basically under the Vikings' thumb, that he double crosses them in the end and basically goes out in a really BA way. And it was awesome to see that. So Bjorn, of course, and the brothers agree, everybody except Ivar. And how Ecbert kills himself is in the bath that we've seen, that's been the centerpiece of many scenes. And he cuts himself with a knife and bleeds out. And it was very well done, the whole scene where Ecbert's killing himself, and I really liked how that was whole done, and how basically with his dying breath and his dying signature, he had made it so that he had double-crossed the Vikings. It was a very cool way for him to go, and it did justice to his character. In contrast, I hated the way they killed off Helga. Now, I love the aftermath and the effect it had on Floki, but Helga's death, I thought she deserved more. Her adopted daughter, sort of, that she had from the raids in the Mediterranean, stabbed her and then killed herself, and so Helga died. And it was a very unceremonious way, and Helga is such a cool character. It was kind of sad to see her go that way. But the thing that made it okay for me, even after, I said that didn't give her justice, was Floki's reaction. I mean, Floki broke down in tears at the sight of Helga's death, and he has this very powerful scene where he's with Bjorn, and he basically says, "Everything that makes me Floki is gone. Ragnar, Helga," and he basically goes through the list of things that he's had and people he's had in his life who have died, and now he says Floki is nothing. It was this very powerful scene, and I can't wait to see what we have in store for Floki in the future, because his character basically is at the lowest point we've seen him. It was very interesting to see that, and I loved seeing that. After that, of course, the Vikings are all feasting. They've taken the capital of Wessex, and there's this complete breakdown of authority in this scene. I love seeing it because all the brothers had sort of been following Bjorn up to this point, but Ivar gets extremely angry. He says, "Why are we going to break up this massive army? We can go raid still." And Bjorn says, "Well, we got to follow our father's, vision and sort of settle here." So they get into an argument, and basically half the people say they want to raid, or the majority of the people say they want to continue raiding with Ivar, and then a few of the people say they'll want to, go with Bjorn and settle down. And so there's that complete breakdown of authority. We saw Bjorn was clearly in power, but now we don't know who really is. And this all culminates whenever Sigurd's basically calling Ivar a baby, and Ivar just throws an axe across the table and kills Sigurd. And historically, Sigurd's descendants do a lot of great things, so it's going to be interesting to see how Hirst twists this, or sort of, has this, because up to this point, Vikings has been pretty historically accurate. As far as legends, you can go with legends, but him killing Sigurd changes everything. And this is a decision most people hated, but I actually loved that Ivar killed Sigurd. It just seemed like the logical thing. Sigurd and Ivar had this rivalry brewing. It seemed like it was reaching a boiling point. And to see that authority break down, that was the perfect time for Ivar to sort of take his revenge on Sigurd. But even Ivar seemed a little bit surprised whenever he realized that he had just killed his brother. And it was Hogue did a really good job with that scene, displaying, Ivar's sort of reaction to that. But at the end of the episode, we are introduced to a new character, and I thought it was a little bit awkward how they did his transition, but we are introduced to this warrior priest, Bishop Hedman, and it was really cool to see him and just get that little introduction. But I feel like they should have saved that for next season and ended maybe with Sigrid dying. But overall, The Reckoning was a great episode, and that Sigrid death was amazing. And while I didn't like the Helga death, Floki's reaction to it made it amazing. So between Floki's breakdown, emotional breakdown, the amazing battle sequence in the beginning, Ecbert's amazingly done death, and Sigurd's well done death, I think that The Reckoning was a great episode. The only thing that I didn't really like is I think Helga sort of deserved better. But overall, I'd have to give the final episode of Vikings Season 4, Episode 20, The Reckoning, a 9.1 out of 10. I hope you've enjoyed my reviews for Vikings, and go back and check out the rest of my reviews. I would encourage you. This has been one of the best seasons of the show, and I really loved reviewing these episodes, and I can't wait to start on Season 5 when it comes out. So I have to give the final episode a 9.1 out of 10. Remember to like and subscribe for more. This has been Jonesy from Jonester TV, signing off.